we are at the moment where we've just known that there is a version 2 JobKeeper, and we will hold a second webinar in August as soon as we get the understanding of the AT alternative test. A lot of business owners did not. I think 80% of business owners would know if they meet JobKeeper or not on the basic test, but there were a small number of business owners that also meet through the alternative test, which we're still waiting on, okay? We're also waiting on the eligibility to report to ATO. And as I was saying, for those who can't wait until August, mid-August, then we suggest that you join our Facebook community group so that you get the latest, okay? And this one is posted as well on our Facebook Live. Okay, so moving on. Now, if you keep in touch with the media, which there's talks about a lot of good businesses that, you know, if you have a good June, you won't qualify for the JobKeeper version, the 2.0. And the reason is this program, this second program, you actually have to not just meet on entry, you actually have to meet on the every quarter, and I will explain to you that. So it is very important that your business is up to date with your records so that your accountant can assess you each quarter, so you can continue to meet that up to March 2021. So that was just saying, that there are some businesses that may, currently eligible, but they will be, stop JobKeeper at the end of September. So for you, if you're eligible, make sure that you got the right advice so that you prepare for that. Okay. So this is a summary of JobKeeper version 2, okay, or 2.0. So from 28 September to 3rd of January 2021, you need to make sure that your quarters June and quarters September 20 must meet the decline test to be eligible. So what that means is we all know that the basic test is 30% drop, but there, as I said, we're awaiting the alternative test as well. So if you had a decent month, a decent quarter in June, and you don't meet the test, and then now because of Victoria shutdown and you do meet, then you're still not eligible unless you meet the alternative test, okay? Is that clear? So, and the second change you need to be aware of is once you meet the 2 quarters, you'll reduce payments rates from $1,500 per fortnight per employee and business participant to $1,200. Now, this time there is a 2-tier payment, which means there's 2 levels. So for full-timers or people working more than 20 hours, you get $1,200 per fortnight. For those who are less than 20 hours, you'll get a different rate this time. So it's $750 per fortnight. So what the government's goal is to taper off. And I guess it's more fairer for those who, work more casuals part-time, they get the $750. So they have to, they're tapering off. So therefore there will be a change in advice that you'll be paying according to, at the moment, all business owners are paying $1,500 to everyone. But the next step would be paying $1,200 or $750 to your respective employees, depending on how many hours they work. Okay. Now, if you can't, as I go along, if you can't post in the chat box your questions, you can also post on our Facebook Live or just I'll let everyone ask questions at the end when you can unmute your microphone. Okay. So next slide. What happens to this from the quarter January to March? So the same thing, but as you can see, the criteria of the to get in is much harder. So in March to continue, you have to meet June quarter, September quarter, and December quarter. Okay, so before we just meet on entry, where if you meet the drop in 30%, you can get in for 6 months. Now, if you let's say you meet June quarter and September quarter, and you don't meet December, then you stop. The JobKeeper stops there. Okay, sorry. So therefore, if you can see now, you need to work closely with our accountants to make sure that your books are really up to date, so that they can assess that for you to the last day. And this time, there's no projection; it's actual data. So if it's September, you actually have to have actual data, and plus also the next week report or pay the wages for your staff according to these rates. So again, the rates reduce again in the January quarter to $1,000 for full-time employees. I'm just going to close my phone so that we don't get interrupted. And $650 for part-time employees and part-time business participants. A few people go to me, how can you be a part-time business owner? Well, I think if you're working, most business participant, as long as that's your only business, mostly will be full-time. But the employees is easy to assess. If you're using Xero or Maya, you can assess that on your hours, okay? All right, so what's the challenges for business owners? I can already see, and my team can already see that this time to meet JobKeeper version 2 is going to be tougher. The reason is that, BAS data must be up to date by the last week of each quarter. So you and your accountants can properly assess on the actual data for June 20 and September 20 and December 20. Yes. So there's no more. So can you just please understand that obviously there are some clients do their bookkeeping once a quarter, some do it once a month, some do once a fortnight. So for those who do once a quarter, if you are delaying your data and bookkeeping, I highly recommend you don't. You should be doing it at least monthly, so that make sure that the data's there, and then the week after we can assess you and lodge your monthly declaration. Now, the first few days into the new call will be extremely busy, as you already know, because you need to also make sure that you meet the wage condition, which requires them to pay the eligible employees in advance of receiving JobKeeper. So if you don't meet that, then obviously you're not going to meet the JobKeeper criteria. So I suggest that if you're currently already, using, have an accountant like using us to do your JobKeeper plan, then that's fine. You will continue with your client manager. If you're currently doing your JobKeeper yourself, please make sure that make sure that your data is correct and actual, so that you can declare it monthly. Our guarantee to our clients is that all our team has been trained up and is aware of this, this requirement, and they have the knowledge of the latest JobKeeper version 2. So if you are one of the JobKeeper entrants that are doing yourself and you feel like you need a bit of support and extra help, please do not hesitate to get in contact with your accountant straight away, because they will need to allocate time and to put you on the program. Okay, if you're currently already on the program with us on the previous JobKeeper 1, that is fine, because the accountants will contact you in the first week of September to make sure that your data is up to date. Okay, but that window is closing quickly. So for those who are not on JobKeeper version 1 and would like to be on JobKeeper, that window is closing very quickly. In fact, I would suggest that you should be contacting your accountant by the end of this webinar, so that we make sure that could you be eligible or not. So those are the challenges for this JobKeeper version 2. I think timeliness and accurate data and up-to-date data is the winners of this version 2. Okay, so as I mentioned before, JobKeeper 2.0 is targeted, tiered, and temporary. The government really wants to phase this out, and they just really want to, continue to support those businesses that are still heavily impacted by this restriction. Okay, so for those who are we will expect that more than half of our business clients will lose the JobKeeper from September onwards. And for those people who are no longer eligible, then we do have a program to business called Business Rebound, which we will share with you in the coming weeks, so that we help you to, because everyone is currently on support, life support, cash flow support, and as soon as you cut that off, we want to help you transition to that from JobKeeper to no JobKeeper. So please get in contact with your accountant to book in it's called a business rebound. And we want to do everyone's assessment in September. So if you're either in JobKeeper 2.0, there is a plan. If you're not on JobKeeper 2.0, then there's a business rebound support for you, okay? Now, this is a summary of what I discussed, okay? So it's going to reduce from the flat 1,500 and replaced by the two-tier payment system, okay? So just be wary of that and adjust your payroll payments to your employees accordingly. This is, I find, a very good summary from the Chartered Accountants, and they, for those who want a copy of this, you can download it, or you just send me an email on Facebook or an email after this, and we'll email to you. It's a summary of all the eligibility, the payments, and the worker eligibility as well. So I find it's a very simple summary. And most importantly, sole traders are still eligible as business participants, okay? So if you got in as a business participant and have no employees, you still can be eligible for this JobKeeper 2.0, okay? So what's next if you're no longer eligible? So business who are currently receive JobKeeper and unfortunately will not be eligible going forward, you must ensure that you're looking at the cash flow in your business and making the alterations to avoid future shocks. Now, remember, guys, we have less than, about 2 months to go for the JobKeeper version 1.0. So beware that there are some additional support like the loans, SME guarantee loans, which have been increased from $250,000 to $1 million now. So if you think that you need this help, extra help, I would be contacting your accountant this week, because it does take time to get approved for this. There are other things that you can do that as I said, we will offer the strategy session for Business Rebound, which I encourage every business owner to be going for that, because everything needs time for implementation. Okay, so don't leave it to the 28th of September when you're receiving your last JobKeeper payment and realizing that it gets cut, like you're not eligible for 2.0 JobKeeper, because that's way too late. And you know that I've already expressed the challenges that not only business owners, but our accountant team, we're going to be inundated with work. So time is on your side at the moment, but it will not be on your side in September, end of September. Okay, so I encourage you, this is something that is available for small biz, okay? And if it's something that will help you through, then speak to your accountants. For those who have JobSeeker or employees that on JobSeeker, then this is just additional information that you might want to take note. So JobSeeker is still at a rate higher than pre-COVID, okay? So it also will end 27th of September. It will be extended to December as well. However, there will be a reduction in amount from 550 a fortnight to 250 Corona supplement. So making the JobSeeker rate at $815. Now, the purpose of this, I think, is that the JobSeeker income will be increased to $300, which represents a person's earnings. So the government is encouraging people to slowly move from a non-working to receive JobSeeker to encourage them to work up to, I think, an amount, so that they're encouraging people to go back to work, whether it's part-time or casual. So people who are on JobSeeker can still get JobSeeker as long as they're under that threshold when they work. So is there anything else, Khoi, if you'd like to add on this before we move to the questions and frequent answers and questions?
Yeah, just a couple of points. So one line I already touched on is that because the assessment, the ongoing assessment will be continuous and also be on actual figures, and it's based on the actual quarters. So there's no longer cherry picking. Remember previously on version 1, we were able to look at March, April, May, and June quarter and cherry pick which quarter there will be a 30% decrease.
Yeah.
So moving forward, it's going to be much tougher, and because of that, the government there's a lot of headlines out there saying that up from April to September, the government will be spending all up about $70 billion on the JobSeeker, and then the next 6 months, it's going to be down from $70 billion down to $16 billion. So if you look at it from a number point of view, that's about 22.86% of what they've been spending. And if you look at the water down of the weekly, the fortnightly payment from 1,500 to 1,200 to 1,000 per fortnight, I worked out that's worked out to be about 30% of what it's been. So if you look at from simplistic view, out of 10 businesses that were eligible, 7 will probably be no longer be eligible.
That's right.
So that means the test is there to knock out a lot of business, and it is very important that everyone need to seek. We need to speak to an advisor to make sure they get it done correctly. I mean, if you thought the last 4 or 5 months was tough, it's going to be even tougher the next 6 months, or 6 months from October to March.
Yeah. And you know what? I find a lot of the clients that do it themselves, that some miss the 10K grant because they didn't proceed, or they didn't know. Some are missing, or they got rejected or rejected from the JobKeeper program themselves, or just delays. So I think that because of this new law, new laws come every week. There are some. And there are some clients that we got them on alternative tests, JobKeeper last time, which I thought they failed in the basic test. So please, this is, if you, and I've seen JobKeeper payments to mean a business from negative to positive, or just surviving. So it is an important, it's actually the biggest support right now from the government, isn't it, Khoi? It is the biggest support. So don't stuff up. Like don't try to do it yourself. Like you have a team here that is up to date, to the knowledge, speaking to Treasury, ATO, use us for that. But for those 70% that Khoi mentioned, you guys will be off JobKeeper because you're not going to be able to meet the 30% decline each quarter. So what is it for you? Make sure you have sit down with myself or Khoi or your accountant to see what's the plan, what's the survival strategy for your business. Because if you have that 3 months or 2 months, you've got 3 more months of JobKeeper. You've got 3 months to put your plan in place, put your business in place. And you know what? At the end of the day, we're gonna be honest. If we see your business is not, survivable, then we need to plan if it's the next step, which is liquidation. If that has to be, because, or if your business has potential, then let's get a support loan in place. But that takes time as well. Okay, so time. That's why we want to be proactive, and we want to have this webinar today, even though we don't have all the answers, but we know what needs to happen. We need to. You need to assess your business as a business owner and where you categorize your business. Is your business going to get version 2 JobKeeper, or your business is going to be off JobKeeper but have a plan to survive, or is you're the last category, close the business? So you got to. And that's what we're going to do in the next week with my team. So we're going to be, categorizing our clients as well. And if you're, depending on which category you are, we will give you that tailored support. Okay?
Yeah, and then also just before you move on, the other thing that we're still unclear at the moment is how it's going to affect the eligible business participants. So previously, if you weren't on the payroll, but you're a director or shareholder or as a sole trader, then you're still eligible for the JobKeeper. But with the JobKeeper version 2.0, we don't know where the ATO stands in regard to that. So that's something that we'll keep our eyes out for the next few weeks. and hopefully that's not one of the the goal of ATL used to reduce from 10 down to 3.
Yeah. I think that's a very valid point as well. So shall we go to the frequent questions that has already been asked? So Khoi, I might get you to run this part and then for those any questions that haven't been covered in this, then please post it on Facebook, because we will look at that and respond to your questions if we haven't covered in here. Thank you, Khoi.
Okay, so Lance has gone through most of this. So what did it say? So do I still qualify until 20 September? Yes, you still. So that's your JobKeeper version 1.0. And it's only from October onwards. That's when the new 2 tiers and continuous test system will apply, and that's when I think more work will be involved. There's still a few things that we're still waiting from the government. At the moment, I think they're not sitting for the next couple of weeks. So it could be until August or mid-August before we hear any news. Can you go to the next slide, please?
Yes.
Yeah. So okay. So this is the difference between this and between version 2 and 1 is that the business will have to assess itself based on the quarterly actual figures rather than monthly as previously, and for assessing the December quarter, we're looking at 2 quarters. So we're not looking at June or September, but we're looking both quarters. So June and September, and as Lance say, if you fail one of them, then you're out. And the same for the March quarter. You look at 3 quarters. You look at the 3. So you look at June, September, December quarter. If you fail anyone, then you're out as well. The other one is the alternative test, which we're still waiting on. We're still waiting on the ruling. So, but as I said, it could be one of 3 options. One is you could be a month times by 3, so to make it equivalent to a quarter, or it could be September, October, November for the December quarter. So at the moment, that is still unclear at the moment. But the thing is, given the basic test is going to be tough already, I'll be very anxious to wait for the alternate test to come out, because that's probably going to knock out more business clients. Okay, next slide, please. So this question is, how is turnover decline measured? So as we mentioned previously, it's continuous and it's actual, and we can't cherry pick anymore. So it's pretty much based on actual figures. And as I mentioned earlier, do the alternative test also apply, which we're still waiting for further guidance. And I think Lan mentioned that we're going to probably do another webinar in a few weeks' time once we have all the information. And hopefully by then we will have all the information available. And given that we need to plan this quite early, I would anticipate that by early September we would have a rough idea of which clients would be eligible or not.
That's right.
Yep, that's it. Thanks, Lan.
Okay, so
one more late question. Someone asked, because we assess the JobKeeper quarterly now, so does it mean that JobKeeper will be paid to the business owner quarterly instead of monthly from now on? I'm pretty sure that no, because if you pass the quarterly test, then you would still lodge your turnover on a monthly basis, and you should get your JobKeeper monthly as well.
Yeah, most likely it will still be monthly, because the wages need to be paid beforehand to receive the JobKeeper like now. And obviously the only difference is before, once the entry, the criteria to get JobKeeper was only assessed on entry. Now they're just assessing it more often, so that you're making sure your business is still declining the 30%. Yeah, I see that Victoria, a lot of my clients are closed, or not closed, but impacted by this closure because of Victoria. This 6 weeks is impacted the sales a lot. Unfortunately, if they had a good June quarter, which just passed, which just closed, you would have missed out on this version 2 regardless. So that's probably something that I need to alert the business owners out there, because they might think, okay, I'm closed now from now to August, September, so probably a bad quarter. But if you did not meet the 30% in June quarter, it's still not available for you. Okay. All right. I think this is just an intro of this version 2, guys. So if you have any more questions, make sure you email it to Khoi and myself. Otherwise, please join our community group. It's already 185 business owners there. You can learn from each other as well. You don't need to feel like your this challenge is only on your shoulders. And yes, we've been posting a lot of the updates. There will be economic updates shared on that Facebook as well. But yes, for those who know of anyone, business owners that are struggling to understand or get the right information on JobKeeper 2.0, make sure that you also invite them on the community as well. Okay, so I'll let for those who want to ask a question, if you could, and you can, because the chat doesn't work. So if you could either, because we have a bit of time, we're a bit early, so you can unmute and ask the question, and then I'll just quickly check if there's anyone on Facebook. But yeah, so if you have any burning questions, you can ask now. Otherwise, we will have an early one, close early, and then we just post this and share this on Facebook. Any questions? All good? So if you have a question, just unmute your microphone now. Otherwise...
Hey, hi, my name is Shashank. I have one question.
Yes.
What will be the JobKeeper 2 for sole trader who haven't registered for the GST?
Khoi, you'd like to answer that?
Who haven't registered for GST. And
are you on JobKeeper right now? I guess my question is.
Yes.
Okay. If you're on a JobKeeper, then you should be okay. So is there a reason why it's not registered for GST because you're under the threshold?
Yes, because of under the threshold, yeah, correct.
Under the threshold. Well, if you're eligible for the version 1, then I can't see any reason why you wouldn't be eligible for version 2. But the only difference is if you're a sole trader and you were eligible because of being an eligible business participant, then version 2 might not guarantee. We're still waiting for that ruling as to whether it still applies to eligible business participant.
Okay.
Yeah. So what we know so far, I'm not sure when you joined, but what we know so far that there is 2 tiers. So if you're a business participant for more than 20 hours, then and you meet all the other criteria, like the 30% drop, then most likely that you can have a shot at applying again. So GST shouldn't matter. To answer your questions, GST register or not shouldn't matter, but obviously there's other criteria you need to meet.
Yeah, right.
Did you do it yourself? Did you apply yourself the first time, Shashank?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, if you need further help in interpreting the second one, please get in contact with our office or so that we can help you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And just be aware that ATO has run up its effort to start auditing a lot of the JobKeepers and all the tests. So you have to make sure that you do the right test and achieve the right result.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? Now that I can see any other questions? Remember, guys, if you are already on JobKeeper, make sure that you apply for the 5K grant if you're employing staff as well. That's one of the criteria. So Shashank, sole traders are not allowed. But yeah, so I think everyone else, this is a time where good proactive advice is important, is imperative. It's like survival now. So if you're doing yourself a lot, that's great. But bounce your ideas off an expert. That's fine. And also, there is as I said, a community of other entrepreneurs in our Facebook. If you haven't joined, then do that, because you can ask and get your questions answered for free. Because we're all sharing, we're giving back to the community that way. Okay. So thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure to guide you in this version 2. I'm expecting once the law comes out more, there's going to be a lot more questions, because at the moment we only got so much information. So I think everyone is assuming that it's going to be straightforward, but I'm sure like in a week's time or 2, there will be alternative tests. So that's probably where the tricky part is. Yeah. So I will thank you, Khoi. Thank you to my host, and thank you everyone for joining. And we look forward to see you in the next webinar. And if you have any, questions that we haven't answered, please shoot us an email. From the email that you registered. Okay. Well, I hope everyone has a good day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.